All right, so this will be the second half of our reproductive system lecture. This is going to focus primarily on the female reproductive system, and this is going to include the processes of fertilization and menstruation and birth and all of those things. So let's talk about a few structures that are going to be really important as we're talking about the female reproductive system. So internally, we have the uterus. This is going to be an organ which supports the development and maturation of the fetus. This is going to provide physical protection and nutrients through the placenta. We're going to have a few different layers to this and areas to this that are important. First, I want to talk about the myometrium. The myometrium is going to be the muscular layer of uterus, which contracts whenever we have contractions. And the endometrium is going to be the inner layer of uterus, and this is going to thicken with an increased blood supply to help prepare for a fertilized egg. So this is going to be actually the area that is shed every month with menstruation. And then the cervix is going to be the lower portion of the uterus, which is going to connect to the vagina. We also have fallopian or uterine tubes. These are going to be tubes which are going to carry eggs from the ovaries to the uterus. We have an infundibulum. This is going to be a funnel-like part of the tubes. And then we have fembrae. Fembrae are going to be the ends of the tubes, which kind of sweep eggs from the ovary into the tube. These actually look like kind of like little fingers or feathers. And then we're going to have the vagina. This is going to be a muscular organ, which is going to facilitate sexual intercourse and provide a pathway for childbirth. We also have the ovary. This is going to be the female reproductive organ, which is going to produce, store, mature, and release the female gamete or the egg. You'll also hear eggs referred to as ovum. And so the ovum is ultimately the female gamete cell. So this is analogous to like the sperm in the male, right? So let's talk a little bit about ovulation and menstruation. So the menstrual cycle is going to be a hormone-controlled 28-day cycle, which is going to consist of maturation of an egg, release of the egg, and shedding of the endometrium unless pregnancy occurs. Ovulation is when the egg is released from the ovary, and menstruation is that period of bleeding or shedding of the endometrium of the uterus. Okay, so here's a little bit more about what this process actually looks like. So first, we're going to get the shedding of the endometrium or bleeding. This is going to occur during days 0 through 4. It's usually about 5 days on average. Next, the ovum or egg is going to mature from days 5 to 14. This is when the endometrium also begins to regenerate. And the mature ovum is going to be released at ovulation. This is going to be around day 14. The endometrium is going to continue to grow and thicken during this time as well. And you can see over here on this graph how our hormone levels of FSH, estrogen, and progesterone are all changing over the course of the cycle. Lastly, fallopian tubes are going to carry that ovum to the uterus. If sperm are present, fertilization and pregnancy can occur. If not, the cycle is going to restart to day 0. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the external reproductive system in females. First, we will have the vulva. This is going to be all structures of the external female genitalia. Within that, we will have the clitoris. This is going to be the female sexual organ, which is going to be homologous to the penis because it contains nerve endings and erectile tissue. We also have labia majora. These are going to be the large outer folds of the vulva. These serve to protect the opening and all of the tissues within. We also have the labia minora. These are going to be the small inner folds of the vulva. These also serve for protection. And then we have the urethra. This is going to be the opening where urine is expelled. So it doesn't really take part in the reproductive process, but it is in the general area. Let's talk a little bit about our mammary glands, also known as breast. The purpose of these are going to be to produce milk. They're going to be heavily affected by hormones such as estrogen and prolactin, and that is going to control that milk supply. We talked a little bit about that when we talked about the endocrine system. At the tip of the breast, we're going to have the areola. This is going to be the darker pigmented circle around the nipple, and the nipple is actually going to have the openings linked to the mammary gland. So this is where the milk is going to pass out, and then we have a whole lot of fatty tissue in the breast as well to help support and protect these. All right, so now we're ready to talk about pregnancy and fertility. Humans are one of the few animals that do not have some sort of kind of like visibly obvious display of their current fertility level. We think that this trait evolved to kind of try to keep mates more invested and around to help with parental care of the offspring. That's the current hypothesis on it. So fertilization is going to be the process where those two haploid gametes, the sperm and the egg, join to form a diploid zygote. The sperm can live up to 5 days in the female reproductive tract, waiting on an ovum to appear. So you don't necessarily have to have an egg come down and meet sperm at the exact same time. They do have a little window within which they are able to interact. So once fertilized by a sperm, an egg is known as a zygote. And once the zygote actually implants in the uterus, it is known as an embryo. So here's a few different graphics on that for you all. I included a whole lot of graphics so that you all are able to see this a few different ways. So the process of pregnancy is going to last about 38 to 40 weeks or 9 months. We refer to this as being 3 trimesters long. So at 12 weeks, the embryo is then going to be known as a fetus, and I've included a week-by-week overview of fetal development here for you all. Your book goes into a little bit, but if you are curious and you want to know a little bit more about what that week-to-week fetal development looks like, there is a resource for you. So let's talk a little bit about how we take care of the fetus once it is inside and what childbirth looks like. So we have a few very important structures. We have the placenta. This is going to be a temporary organ which is going to attach to the lining of the uterus to provide nutrients and waste exchange between the mother and the fetus. We also are going to have an umbilical cord. This is going to be the connection between the placenta and the fetus. So this is what's actually going to deliver those nutrients and then carry those waste away also. The childbirth process is going to be separated into 3 main phases. It definitely, like, these 3 phases are then separated into even more phases, but I'm trying to kind of simplify this for you all. So we begin the childbirth process by having contractions of the uterine muscles. After this, the cervix is going to efface. This means it's going to kind of thin out and it's going to dilate. So this means it's going to start to open and expand. The cervix will gradually dilate to 10 centimeters, and at that point, the fetus is able to come all the way out to the external environment and be born. This is very obviously very, very simplified version of all of this. There's also a whole lot of really pertinent information in your book, but I was trying to make these a little bit concise because I know you're getting into finals week, you're getting to that end part of the year, and we're going to cover so much of this in lab also. So if you have any questions for me or need any help with this content, please reach out. I am always here, and that is all I have for part 2 of your reproductive system lecture.